What's going on, guys? Good morning. Hope you're having a good Thursday so far. So we got some more work to do, except for it's not on my car, because in the last video we knocked out some more work on the Integra. Well, I mean, a little bit of work that I had for it, but we got some more work to do right now. So check this out. So I just can't seem to get away from these crusty ones, but this is the EK that was dropped off the other night. So I had another car here that was getting some service. It was a TL, Acura TL from a buddy of mine. But yeah, this would be the nugget that we got to work on right now. And I say that because the owner does not like this car. He's only got it because he got the car for free. He had some extra stuff laying around, so he wants to put, it's got some nice stuff on it actually, but he wants to kind of get it done up right, and then he wants to sell it off to somebody that will actually enjoy it, because the car from the outside is pretty darn rough. I mean, one of the funny things that he showed me is, like, I don't know if you can see all these cracks on here like that. That's all Bondo. The whole roof is like Bondo. So she's a little rough, but overall, pretty solid car. The interior, although very dirty, is pretty much complete, but it's what's under the hood that matters, don't you know? Except I lied. What's under the hood doesn't matter anyway. It's just a single cam, but it's actually a built single cam. So this is a Vitara build. He's actually got some nice stuff on here. So you can see this is actually a Speed Factory manifold. Seems to be really nice quality. Some good stainless up pipe, a good stainless down pipe, which is actually one of the things I gotta do. I gotta repair that. There's a fat crack on it right there. Nasty. Yeah, you see that crack? That's pretty beat up. But overall, yeah, it's got a pretty nice turbo on it. It's got a nice manifold. The motor is built, full Vitara build setup, I think. I don't know exactly all the specs of the internals and stuff, but it's pretty solid. The engine bay looks pretty clean too. I like the purple, even though he is gonna have to redo some of it, because, you know, I'm gonna have to do a little bit of grinding, a little bit of welding. But yeah. So overall, this thing's got some work to do, but this thing is mostly here for some fabrication work. So if you notice, there's no intercooler, there's no radiator, there's no crash support, there's no intercooler piping, so we got some work to do, and that's mostly what we're doing. So we're going to be making a radiator mount. We're going to mount the radiator, make a bar to go across for some crash protection, and also to mount the intercooler, I got to do up all the charge pipe. He has some pipe supplied. Try and make what he has work. The rest of it I'll have to do myself. And then gonna have to try and tap the pan, except for the issue is that turbo sits way too low, so I'm really concerned about that for the drain. But we'll figure that out when we get there. And then fix the downpipe, because it's got that fat crack on it. And then we also have some trailing arm bushings to do. He's got some energy suspension ones. I really hate doing those ones, but it is what it is. It's what he has. And then we also got a window regulator to do. I think that pretty much sums it up. And then he also wanted me to just kind of inspect the suspension and stuff on the car, because right now, like, he put some new tie rods and stuff on it, but the toe is so far inward, this thing's damn near impossible to push. It is so heavy because it's so far towed in. So I gotta wait. Ooh, that was just a bee on top of my Red Bull. Always freaks me out. I'm always afraid to freaking, like, end up drinking a bee. But yeah, so I'm currently waiting on my dad to get back to the house. He was out running some errands because I need help pushing this behemoth in. And then we can get cranking on this thing right away, and hopefully some of you EK guys will enjoy this content. Although I can't make any EK bumper bars off this car, I'm gonna have to use Doja's car, because I don't know if you just saw, there's no bottom half to that core support, and the frame rail ends have been capped with just some plate steel. So for me, it'll make it really easy to make a bar, because I can just take a piece of tube and weld it to it. But as for production or any, like, recreating them, this thing has nothing to bolt to, so RIP. Sorry, guys. Let's get cranking on this thing. So first things first, I think I'm gonna start off with the radiator. He just has a normal half-size radiator that, like, comes on these things. Just the, I think this is probably just an eBay one. So we got one of these. So we just gotta basically get this thing to mount here. It looks like he's missing his bolt hole here. There was just like this little bracket right here that was attached to it, but it was, yeah, it's all haggard. This whole thing is very haggard. So I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna add a Rivnut there so we got something to bolt to, because the threads are chewed out of there. And then I'm gonna try and make a bar to go across. I want it to look kind of cool, so I'm gonna try and plan it out a little bit more than I normally do. I'm thinking something with some dimple dies, but we'll see. Like, kind of like a gusset plate that just happens to have a tab on there, just because I want it to look nice and beefy. looks like there was already a little tab down here. There's like one little tube piece that was added onto the traction bar for the radiator to sit in. So this one doesn't have one, but I don't have anything like that. And I got the upper hose in place. So once I make a little top support here, that's gonna be really simple. It's not really gonna have anywhere to go. I am gonna dig through, you know, because I just don't like that there's one but not the other. So if I have something, I'll add something. If not, I'll just leave it alone. And I'm gonna make a top piece really quick, and then I'm gonna move on. So this thing is like super flimsy. So whenever I make this bar here, I think I'm gonna make like a little detachable piece, like a T-bracket almost, to go up to here, just for some structural support. Because that thing is really freaking weak. I don't even know. I don't like that. Like, I know this guy just plans on selling it, but whoever ends up getting this car next, I'm guessing it's gonna be some kid that just wants to have some fun, and I'd rather them be safe, or at least a little bit more safe if they end up smacking something. Got the radiator top tab made. I like where the radiator's sitting now. It's like, I mean, this has a little bit of adjustment. I'm gonna hog this hole out just a hair more too, to let it scoop forward just a little bit more, but it's just barely missing right there, which is perfect. So it's sitting right there, that tab, obviously, as you can see. Let me focus you in on that. So you can see it's just barely sitting on that thing. So I'm just gonna make a little L bracket and just tack weld it to this thing, so that way it just bends over, just boop, boop. So I already got my measurements. It's like 1 inch up, 1 inch over from where I want it to sit. And then I'll just kind of get it to go around slight contour of the tube here, weld it, and then, yeah, it'll just kind of sit there in a perch, because I don't have any tube like that. Got the radiator mounted up, so that tab should work just perfectly fine. Radiator is super stiff now. Hoses aren't even in place yet, so it is not going nowhere. Nice solid mounted. We're done there. So next up, I'm gonna go ahead and start working on the bumper bar, bash bar type support, whatever you want to call it. So he did have the bumper cover. It's actually sitting here on top of the car. So I'm gonna go ahead, try and find a way to get that on the car. He doesn't have any hardware, and I think half the holes are filled in from a shave. So I might have to pop in some more Rivnuts. I'll make something work, but we'll get this bumper on, and then I can just do my normal thing where I get the measurements, the bumper cover, and then I kind of just on this one, just making a big U-shaped bar to weld straight to the caps on the frame rails that he's got going on right here. So grind that paint off, bend up a bar, slap it on there, call that good. Obviously we got to make the intercooler mounts from that, but you get the idea. So I just pulled the intercooler out of the car. This thing is beefy. It looks like it's a Go Auto Works intercooler, so that thing's got some money into it. And I even noticed that the turbo, I think I already mentioned it, is a precision turbo. Can't really see the brand there. So it's like the more I'm digging parts out of this thing, the more I'm seeing like the actual money into it. But at the same time, obviously the car itself is pretty clapped. So the bumper, I just got that on. It's all just zip tied in place for now because like I said, he doesn't have any of the mounting points. And the two tabs that go here, they were tack welded to the bottom of the core support piece, but they broke, so they're kind of just barely hanging on there. And whoever welded the core support in didn't align it correctly, so the headlights are sitting incorrectly, like too close together, so the bumper doesn't really fit for trash. Got this fat gap over here. Obviously the fenders are all damaged and stuff too, but that gap is obviously way too big, so whatever. It's not supposed to be a show car by any means. We're just getting the fab stuff done. So I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna basically, like I said, I'm gonna have to jack the car up, but I'm gonna get my measurements more or less from the frame rail close to the inside of the bumper, and then the distance across, and then, because it's just gonna be probably 2 bends, maybe 3, but probably, yeah, probably 3, because we'll probably start here, follow the contour here, peak, like pinch point there, and then very slight bend there and follow it back down. So either a 2 or 3 point bend, but yeah, basically frame rail to bumper, across, over, and then distance between. And then I'll type that into the computer, get my bend points and cut angle and all that. And then as for the intercooler, got plenty of space right here, so I'm not too worried about fitting that. I'll modify those brackets down there, or those tabs, because those are really booger welded on there anyway, so I can probably just knock them off with a hammer if I need to. But we'll get this thing mounted up proper. I just finished drawing up the part, so I got my stuff here, and this is one of those things where this is something you got to catch. Now, obviously with these tools, these benders and stuff, you have a limit of to how much you can actually feed through the machine itself. So in this case, I forget exactly because I don't have my cheater piece anymore. I don't know where I put it. But basically, you have to have X amount of material to feed through the die before you can either start a bend or you have to have it after a bend. So in this case, because I'm welding it straight to the frame, it's going to have short legs, which means that at least at the starting bend, like the first bend, I need a lot of material before that. I need at least a couple inches to be able to feed it into the die itself, so that way I have a starting point, because I can't just stick it in like an inch. It doesn't work like that. So I had to account for, I guesstimated like 5 inches cut off at the front and 3 inches cut off at the rear, because both the bends are really close to the ending point of the tube. So in that case, basically all this does is it just changes my measurements a little bit, and then you basically, once it's done, you cut that amount off. So once I'm done, right before bend number 1, I'll mark up 5 inches, chop it there. At the end, same thing, chop it 3 inches. With the bar bent up like this, let me get it out of the sun so you can actually kind of see it. with the bar bent up, you can kind of see the one side is obviously shorter than the other because I had more cut off on the one end. So this is going to be my 5-inch cutoff. This is going to be my 3-inch cutoff. Just did some test fit with the bumper on. So I made 2 marks, one right around there, one around there. That's just kind of like the lowest point that I want to go with the bar because I want to try and get it to tuck up under the middle part there. So that should work. I'm going to try and get it as high up as I can though, because I should have clearance to basically touch that chunky weld there. And then just, I got my level here so I can level it out and even it out on the other side. So I'm going to go ahead, grind this paint off and tack it up and test fit. Got it tacked in place. I'm going to test fit the bumper cover really quick, but it's looking pretty darn good. So we're going to have lots of space for the intercooler. It's basically almost perfectly dead center. Granted, also this core support is not centered like correctly anyway. So the middle bend is very minute. It's 6 degrees right here. So it's right about there. So it's just a hair. It's like on the left side of this piece there. So it is level. It's actually 0.2 degrees lower on that side because the weld on that side is so bulky, but that's like 99.5% level. So I'm stoked on it. Let's test fit the cover, and then if it's good, we'll go through and weld the whole thing up. Just because of how dicked this bumper and stuff is, I'm just gonna rest it there like that. Looks like we got plenty of room. Let me feel for clearance. Yeah, we're totally solid. So that works. Let's weld this thing up. So I got the intercooler sitting here on these little tabs. It's at the perfect spot for it. Obviously it's just resting here because there's no way to mount it from beneath. So I'm thinking what I want to do is I want to make a plate, like bend a little piece of metal to bolt to here. I want to angle it upward a little bit like that. And then I want to take a piece of round rod and bend it that way and then connect it that way to triangulate it. And I want to add a gusset plate over that. And I think that'll make it look really aggressive nice and strong. It'll be able to handle the weight of the intercooler, plus it's being supported just resting here on the bottom. And that'll be awesome. I think it'll look really cool. And then I already did test fit the bumper as it's sitting here, and it fits just fine. So I think that's what I'm gonna do. Alright, I got each plate, or not plate, but each mounting thing held in place. So this thing is definitely rock solid. I'm gonna go ahead and get some cardboard and just kind of draw up my little gusset plate, and I'm probably just gonna put one inch dimple die in the middle there. Cardboard to metal. Got those all drilled out, dimple dyed. Not the prettiest because this isn't the most symmetrical, but it is what it is. And then of course we're gonna brand it. So we're gonna tack these on. And basically the best way to do this is you don't have to weld the entire thing around it. You can just do a bunch of tacks all the way around, especially in this case where it's not there to completely support anything. It's just there, it's there to look cool. Looking pretty spiffy. So that's gonna wrap up the intercooler install with the bash bar and stuff. So I think that looks pretty darn cool. I mean, honestly, I could probably get a plate going across there, but that's probably a little excessive, since obviously, I mean, I'm not gonna charge him for excess stuff. He doesn't need all the extra crap. I did this just because that's to make this piece that holds the intercooler look nice. But yeah, so that's gonna wrap up, I think, the beginning of the fab work. I don't want to drag this video out too long. I don't know how long it is already. I thought we got some detailed stuff. Hopefully you guys enjoy the B-roll type stuff. Kind of hard to film and talk a lot when, you know, I'm just a one-man show here. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, be sure to let me know in the comments down below. If you're new to the channel, hopefully you have considered subscribing by now. If you guys want to help support the channel, I do have a P.O. box you can send stuff to. Like literally anything, it's in the description. I also have merch and stickers and stuff in the Big Hotel. I also make bumper bars for front and rear, and harness bars for the DAs, and fronts for the EGD or EG Del Sols at the moment. So get on those, Big Cartel link as well. And anyways guys, I'm gonna catch you guys in the next video. I'm gonna go get some lunch, so do what you love, think about the rest, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace out.